Hey Apes, how's everybody doing today? I'm going to make a stab at this and forgive me if I mess up, but I'm going to try to give a possible scenario or two where naked shorts aren't happening, but the price of AMC or GME or any other stock can still be suppressed. So we know the price action we see isn't natural. We know when we get to certain points, it's attacked. There's many ways of manipulating, and I think those hedge funds and those other short sellers have a lot of ways. A market maker like Citadel has so much power because their computer systems are so intertwined with the market. There's put walls and naked options and all sorts of things that aren't directly short selling or naked short selling, but still have a big effect on the price. But what I want to look at today is just shorting itself, just general shorting and rehypothecation, and see if I can explain a scenario where we could have a really suppressed price, a lot of short selling going on, but it's not easily tracked. So let's take a look. By the way, before I do, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, drop me a comment, say hello, whatever. But please join, support the channel. I'm trying to put out content, and it really helps. What a great day AMC had today. After that blood red week, it was so nice to see green. 15% by the end of the day, touched 50 in after hours. Nice way to end the week. Very satisfying. Of course, it would have been nice to see 50 and really trigger that gamma squeeze, but there's always next week. All right, let's take a look. So I did this little sheet here, and I simplified the numbers a little bit just to make it easier on me. So instead of 501 whatever million shares, I just said 500 million and then put the 2 million inside, or approximately in a bracket. Of that, 80% are owned by Apes, so about 400,000 shares, and 100 million, not a million, I wish, by institutional investors, a lot of hedge funds and other investors. So I broke it down with this table here. And I want you to pretend, again, very hypothetical. We know there are thousands of brokers, so you'll see why that's important as I go on. Let's pretend all the shares start with one broker. Okay, so here they are. Here's broker A. And then a hedge fund comes along, a market maker, whoever, who will remain nameless, and they say, can I borrow some shares to short? Broker A says, sure, just pay this interest fee and we're good. Short away. So this fund decides to borrow half of their shares to short. And they say, well, we are going to take 200 million of these 400 million shares. And then we'll take 50 million of these. And then we've got 250 million. And if I'm missing a zero, sorry, but I think of 1, 2, 3. Oh, one more zero. And one more, definitely one more zero there. Oh. Am I right? No, too many zeros. Losing track, you'd never know that I taught math. That's why, because I missed one up here. There we go. 200 million, 50 million, 250 million. Okay, so now they've shorted these shares and sold them to clients, investors at brokerage B. And so they buy these short shares. They own them now. They've paid for them. They bought them. And that market maker, that hedge fund, owes shares to broker A. So the investors in broker A still own the shares, but if they're in margin accounts, they've actually lost their voting rights and so wouldn't be registered as voters. Keep that in mind. So now the total shares out there are the 500 million from broker A plus the newly shorted shares out there for a grand total of 750 million shares in existence now. Broker A's shares plus broker B's shares. Now, the market maker goes, well, I've shorted all the shares I want to at a broker A. I owe them a lot of money. Let's ask broker B if I can short these shares that their clients now have. And so broker B says, sure. And the market maker says, well, you know what? I really need to get this price down. I'm going to short. Can I borrow all of them? And they say, sure, let's go. Let's do this. Now, of course, this is an extreme example, but you get the idea. The math should still work out. So they borrow all of these, and they borrow all of these. And again, there's another 250 million shares. That's 25 million, 250 million. Oh my goodness, it's been a long week. There we go. That's 50 million. There we go. 250 million. And so for a grand total of 1 billion shares in existence at this point. The original shares, the shorted shares that someone else bought, they eventually need to be returned. But hey, let's do that a month, a year, whatever from now. We'll just keep paying interest. And then they borrowed these shares from broker B, who, for all intents and purposes, they're normal shares. They don't have ID numbers. They're just shares, right? They bought them unbeknownst to them. They were shorted shares from broker A. Broker C did the same thing, and the daisy chain continues. Well, let's do this again, but this time, let's borrow from broker C, and we'll short the same amount of shares. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I add an extra 0, forgive me. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. No, there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 50 million. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. I put 2 billion up here. That's getting a little too carried away. And then for a grand total, of course, of 250. That's right, 250 million. And now we're up to 1.25 billion shares total. Imagine all the brokers in the world. There aren't just 4. There are hundreds, thousands in multiple countries. They don't all communicate with each other. In some ways, they try not to communicate with each other. And now imagine if these brokers, I don't know, get huge amounts of money for order flow from a market maker. Are they going to disclose that information? Are they going to let those market makers or those hedge funds borrow more than maybe they should? Maybe than they can account for. The thing is, in margin agreements, and we know so many apes have margin accounts. They have wanted to go all in on AMC or GameStop, and so they borrow on margin. And technically, they don't own those shares until there's a zero balance of their margin accounts. All of their assets are owned by the brokerage technically, and so they could short their shares and they get no voting rights. And so when AMC asks for, or GME asks for those voter lists from brokerages, they can in good conscience say, here they are, and not include any of those margin borrowed shares that were lent out to short. So there, is it shady? Hell yeah. Is it ethical? Probably not. But are they following the rules? Maybe. And so this is a possibility just with rehypothecation, not even a naked share really in sight. And they just go brokerage to brokerage, daisy chaining away until they have these huge amounts of shares out there. So what do? The daisy chaining can happen, rehypothecation happens, the same borrowed shares can get sold over and over again. The market makers make a big profit off selling. They can pay their interest fees with it, and so they can keep going and suppressing the price. So where do they get caught? Well, that's the issue. One of the issues. If it's happening, well, when the voting occurs and the voting materials go out, these shareholders that lost their voting rights don't get any materials. They shouldn't get a proxy number. They shouldn't have anything going to AMC or GME. And when that happens, they should be saying, hey, I didn't get my materials. What's going on to their brokerages? Now, we have a lot of countries out there who their shareholders can't vote, or it's really expensive to vote, and they discourage it. So millions, tens of millions, a billion, we don't know. That's unlikely, but it's possible. The other thing is, how many voters even know or care? How many investors are out there just buying because that's and they never vote in shareholder elections. We assume everybody's a passionate ape, but we don't have 4.3 million watching Matt Kors or Trade Trades. We don't have 4.3 million in Reddit on AMC stock or in super stocks. We just don't. So, there's millions out there who aren't as invested, who don't know the research, who don't care if they vote. And, brokerages and market makers, they're banking on that. So that's it. And, maybe we'll see in August that millions of people contacted AMC saying, hey, where are my materials? And then they contact the brokerages, and the brokerages say, oh, they don't have voting rights. They're on margin accounts. And then things start getting investigated. Maybe. Maybe not. We don't know. It's a theory. Even without this happening, with the options chain and the derivatives market, the way they can set up put walls, there's so many ways to manipulate and keep the price down. Maybe they don't even need naked shorts. Maybe they don't need this scenario that I laid out here. Maybe they can just influence the price. At the end of the day, if we can convince millions of more people to buy by talking about how great the stock is in the company and trying to save AMC and trying to have that potential of squeezing shorts out, it may still happen. That FOMO buy may build up to the point where it's not worth that 10, 15, 20% of shorts to have that. Maybe they have 200% short interest and we don't know it. The only way to find out is getting the price so high that they're actually margin called. Then these prime brokerages, the banks that are financing all of this, they're doing it too. Do they want to margin call? Even if the rules say they should, we don't know. I don't know. I hope so. The Volkswagen squeeze was so different because Porsche had the shares. They're one company. They knew they were going to hold Diamond Hand because it's just them. We have millions of people that need to be like-minded and think the same. It's a tough scenario. I think we've done really well at getting some real whales of apes to have a whole lot of shares that are going to Diamond Hand and see this thing through. And then we have a percentage that won't. So who knows how this will go? But at the end of the day, if you're in it to change the market, you're getting the attention you want. It's on the media. The SEC is talking about rules and investigations. So we're moving in the right direction. Some good change will happen because of these stocks and us apes. So those things are fantastic. I don't know if what I've laid out here is happening. I know it's possible, right? I know it's possible to have the same effect without naked shorting. It doesn't mean there's no naked shorting. It just means this is a scenario that's a little easier, more legit. So maybe it's a possibility. The end of the day right now, we're relying on the brokerages providing AMC with correct numbers. And these brokerages are, a lot of them, prime brokers or subsidiaries of them that are doing the dirty business in the first place that stand to lose billions, especially if hedge funds like Citadel default. So what's their incentive to be proactive, to not say, oops, a paperwork error, we missed a few million shareholders, right? Like, who knows? It's conspiracy theories, but at the same time, do we need them? No, there's legitimate ways that they can manipulate the stock, which means it's still worth a lot more. And if we can conquer that, if we can figure out how and just really buy and bring in new people, fly some more airplanes, rent some more billboards, get the media articles and the interviews going that say how amazing this movement is in the community and what we're trying to accomplish, reforming the market, that we're trying to save movies, that we're trying to save gaming, that we're helping companies we really do value. If we do that, I think we're going to get more buyers week after week after week, and they're going to hold on and they're going to want to invest in a stock like this. It's only $50 right now. Even $100 is cheaper than a lot of stocks out there that mean a lot less to people. So, we've got to do our job of promoting it, of the company we believe in, sharing our beliefs and hoping that other people share the same. Anyway, apes, I hope that helps. I hope that's a scenario that makes sense. If it doesn't, leave a comment, please. I'm learning too. I'm thinking this through and trying to find ways in my head that make sense, but I'm a newbie to the market. It's so complex. All the things that these market makers can do blows my mind. So there's probably about 50 dirty tricks that I haven't even begun to think of. So if you have leave a like, subscribe, drop a comment. Let's talk about it. Anyway, hope you have a great weekend. I'm pumped at the way the week ended for AMC. GME was in the green too, so both my stonks are doing okay. So please drop a like, subscribe, have a safe weekend, and peace.